Good morning and welcome to Economics. My name is Mirka Kaingunga and I'll be your tutor today for the subject of economics. Economics is the study of the economy as a whole. As an economy, for example, you can look at the economy of Namibia. So it's the study of Namibia's economy as a whole. Now, within economics, we have what is called microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics, it's economics that focuses on the individual parts of the economy. For example, consumers would look at what should you study this year? And a business will look at what services to provide this year. And then we have macroeconomics. Macroeconomics focuses on the whole economy or on the macroeconomic perspectives of the whole economy. You can actually look at it in this view. You can say microeconomics is the study of one tree, but macroeconomics is the study of the full forest. Within economics, we have what is called demand and supply concepts. These concepts explain why some things are expensive and other things or other goods and services are cheaper. We have what is called the law of demand. The law of demand states, the higher the price, the lower the demand, and the lower the price, the higher the demand. The law of the supply states, the higher the price, the greater the supply, and the lower the price, the lower the supply. Then we also have that which is called the equilibrium, and equilibrium is achieved when supply is equal to demand. We're moving over to question 1, which is the law of demand. In the table, you can see that we have a column for price in Namibian dollars, the quantity of shirts bought, and then the points on the graph. Draw the demand curve. With the information given here, we need to now draw a demand curve. We have the vertical axis and the horizontal axis. First things first, with the information given to you, you need to use the information given to you and put it on your graph. We have price in Namibian dollars. The price in Namibian dollars of the shirt we would then put on the vertical axis. And on the horizontal axis, that's where we would put the quantity of shirts bought. It's also important that you input the figures that have been given to you on the graph. For example, the quantity of shirts bought, we have 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, and 140. So I'm going to put them into our graph. We have 40, we have 60, 80, 100, 120, and 140. Then the price in Namibian dollars, which is on the vertical axis, we'll put it in. We have 50. Oh, sorry, let's start this way. We have, let's say, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, and let's say 140. So we have it's always important that you put it in a neat way, in the sense of 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. Now we've been given the points on the graph, which is now what we need to plot on the graph. Now A is when the price in Namibian dollars is equal to 100. And the quantity of shirts bought is equal to 40. So practically what we're going to do is that we're going to do a mark on our graph. So we know that the price is 100 and the quantity of shirts brought at that level is 40. So then where the 100 and the 40 meet, we are going to put a marking. And that marking we're going to term as A. The next one, B. B's price in Namibian dollars is 90 and the quantity is 60. So if we know that the quantity is 60 and 90 lays between the 90 lays in between the 80 and the 100, therefore this spot over here is B. C. The point C is where 80 shirts are produced at a price of $80 each. So we're going to go to that point, which is 80 and 80. This we call C. So at C, 80 shirts are produced at $80 each. So then there's C. And then we go to D. The price is 70, so 70 lays between the 60 and the 80. And for a quantity is 100 shirts, so then we just plot it. And this we call D. Then we go to E, where we have 60 Namibian dollars, and the production is for 120 shirts. So then we just need to plot this on our graph as well. And then we just mark it with a dot. And then this we call E. And then point F, that's where the price in Namibian dollars is 50 and the quantity of shirts brought is 140. So we know it is here. So it's 140 at a price of 50. And 50 lays between the 40 and the 60. So this over here, then we would say that's the price of 50 to 1. So the point would be somewhere there. So then we just do a dotted line till we come to 140. Dotted line there. And then this is what we call point F. Now that we've got all the points on our graph, we now need to draw the demand curve. So by drawing the demand curve, we just match up all the different points that we have plotted on our graph here. So when we draw it together, we just need to draw one solid line through all the different points. And you know, when it comes to the demand graph, I'm going to actually call the demand graph D in brackets. So this here that we have plotted is our demand curve. So our demand curve is D. Going to mark it with a D as such. So now you know that your demand curve is as such. Now there's one thing to really note when you're looking at the law of demand, and just going back to our definition on demand, is that the higher the price, the lower the demand, and the lower the price, the higher the demand. So meaning the higher the price, the lower the demand of the quantity. So the higher the price, the less the quantity. The lower the price, the more the quantity. So then in this case, we say that there is a negative relationship between price and quantity. So when it comes to the law of demand, there's a negative there's a negative relationship between price and quantity. So there's a negative relationship between price and quantity, because as price decreases, quantity increases. As price decreases, then quantity increases. For example, at point D, when price decreases, then quantity increases. So there's a negative relationship between price and quantity when it comes to the law of demand. In question number 2, we'll look at the supply curve. In question 2, you need to draw the supply curve. With the information that has been given to us, we need to plot this information onto our graph. So then once again, on the vertical axis, we have price in Namibian dollars, and on the horizontal, we have quantity. We have quantity of shampoo produced. Now the information that has been given to us in the table, we have the price in Namibian dollars, we have the quantity of shampoo produced, and we have the points on the graph. Now the points on the graph, we have to plot the supply curve, and we have to, when you plot the supply curve, you have to plot it with the different points, as in A, B, C, D, E, and F. So now on the vertical axis, we know we have the price, and on the horizontal, we have the quantity of shampoo produced. So we're just going to put in our figures quickly. We have 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and 22. Then we have quantities as follows. We have 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, and 10,200. All this information I get from the information that is on the information that has been given to us. So then, for a quantity of 6,000, the price is 12. So for a quantity of 6,000, the price is 12. So then we're going to mark it there. And this on the graph, we're going to call A. The second one, the quantity is 7,000 and the price is 14. So we are just going to draw dotted lines to that point, and we're going to call that point B. The third one is when the quantity is 8,000, the price is 16. So just going to draw a dotted line once again. This is C. Then when the quantity is 9,000, the price is 18. This we'll call D. And then when the quantity is 10,000, the price is 20. Oh, sorry, it's here. It's 20. 20. This we're going to call E. And if when the quantity is 10,200, then the price is 22. So this is where the two meet. And this is what we're going to call then F. So what you've done here is that you've put all your information on your graph. Then you've plotted the different points, you've marked the different points. So now we are going to draw the supply curve. By drawing the supply curve, all we're going to do is that we're just going to draw a line through all the different points that we have put on our graph or on our table. So we're going to go through A, B, C, D, E, and F. So this supply curve I'm going to call S, which is supply curve. Now the law of supply, what this supply curve is telling us is that the greater the quantity, the greater the price. So when my quantity is 6,000, the price is 12 Namibian dollars. When the quantity increases to 9,000, then what happens is that the price also increases to 9,000. So then what we're going to say here is that there is a positive relationship between price and quantity. So then the law of supply is that there is a positive relationship between price and quantity. Or by quantity, we can also refer to the quantity as being the supply. So there's a positive relationship between price and supply. Or we can say, so it's a positive relationship between price and supply. So then the good that is being supplied here is the shampoo. All right. So you know that, okay, as the quantity of shampoo being supplied increases, so does the price also increase. So that's a positive relationship. We're moving over to question 3. We're looking at the equilibrium, and question 3 says, plot the demand curve, which is D, and the supply curve, which is S, and mark the equilibrium with an A. Equilibrium, that's the point where supply is equal to demand. Now we're looking at a simple example here on our slide. We have the price per liter, which is of course in Namibian dollars. We have the quantity of lemonade demanded in liters, and then we have the quantity of lemonade supplied in liters. So first and foremost, we just need to plot on our graph what it is. We have to take the information that is given to us and put it on the graph. In Namibian dollars per liter. And that's on the vertical axis, and on the horizontal we have the quantity of lemonade. Now remember that in this case we've been given the demand of lemonade, as well as information about the demand of lemonade, as well as the supply of lemonade. So just by looking at the information that has been given to us, we now need to plot it onto our graph. Firstly, if we just look at the quantities that have been mentioned, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20, and so forth. So we're just going to plot this information on the graph. So on quantity, we have 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. And on the prices, we have 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100. So with a demand curve, we have 20, quantity 20, and the price is 20. And that we're going to call point. Actually, we're not even going to give it a point number. We're just going to plot it with a dot. So then at the quantity of 20, the price is 20. Now, if we have a quantity of 16, the price is 40. So then we just draw a dotted line. It's like what we've done in our previous exercises. And when the quantity is 12, when the demand for lemonade's quantity is 12, then the price is at 60. All this information is given to you in the question. And then when the quantity is 8, then the price is 80. And then when the quantity of lemonade is 4, then the price is 100. So then we have all our different points on our sheet. So we're going to draw a line through it, and we're going to call that the demand curve. and we're going to mark it with a D. Then we're going to plot the supply curve, which is the supply of lemonade. So meaning that when we have a quantity of 4, the price is 20. So then that's the 1 point. When we have a quantity of 8, the price is 40. When we have a quantity of 12, the price is 60. When we have a quantity of 16, then the price is 80. When we have a quantity of 20, the price is 100. And remember, I'm getting all this information from the information given to you in the question. So now we're going to draw the supply curve, which is supply where we just draw a line through the points that we have plotted on our sheet. So then we're on our graph. So then that means that there is the supply curve. So now we have what we call the supply curve and the demand curve. Now remember, just to recap a bit, we said that the demand curve has a negative relationship. Negative relationship means that as price decreases, then quantity increases. And you can see that there. So as price decreases from 100 to 80, then what happens is that quantity increases from 4 to 8. So that's a negative relationship, while as the supply curve has a positive relationship, meaning that as price increases, so does quantity also increase. So then that means that if we move from a price of 20 to 40, or let's say from quantity from 4 to 8, it means that the price will then increase as well, because we move from this point to that point, from 20 to 40. So it's a positive relationship. Now we need to mark the equilibrium with A. Now remember, what did we say equilibrium is? Equilibrium is the point where supply is equal to demand. That is what equilibrium is. That's when supply is equal to demand. So then that means that is where S is equal to D, which is demand. So this is actually the point where supply is equal to demand, and this can be visibly seen already on our graph at this specific point here where the supply and the demand curve cross. So then this point here is what we call the equilibrium, and we're going to mark the equilibrium with A. Price elasticity. Price elasticity is the degree to which the demand or supply curve react to changing price. Products which are necessities tend to be more insensitive to price change, since customers will continue to buy them regardless of the price increase. This is, for example, a necessity such as bread. On a daily basis, nearly every household buys bread. Regardless of the price increase or the price decrease, consumers will still continue to buy bread because it is a necessity. A good or a service is considered to be more elastic if a slight change in the price results in a sharp change in quantity, supply, or demand. Elasticity. Relative elasticity, or when something is relatively elastic, we say that elasticity is greater than or equal to 1. When something is relatively inelastic, or let's say when price is inelastic, then we say that elasticity is smaller than 1. There are different determinants of demand. One of the determinants of demand is the income of consumers. If a consumer's income increases, then it means that demand also increases, and that's also vice versa, because if income increases, it means that the consumer can buy more goods because they have more disposable income. The availability of substitute goods. If the price of a product, for example olive oil, increases and there's another substitute, sunflower, that sells at a cheaper price, consumers tend to substitute the olive oil for sunflower. Therefore, the demand for a product may decrease with the demand for the substitute product will increase. So therefore, the demand of a product may decrease when the demand for the substitute product increases. Another determinant of demand is preference and taste. Clothes that are deemed to be more fashionable are deemed to be more expensive, and those which are not fashionable are not expensive at all, or are deemed to not be expensive. Expectations. If consumers expect the price of a specific good to increase, they will stock up on it now. So let's say, for example, if we expect the price of sugar to increase, then what a consumer then tends to do is to buy in bulk, or to stock up. In other words, they would rather prefer to stock up before the price increase. Or another typical example is that if you expect the price of electricity to go up, then what you'll do is that you will try as much as possible to buy as much electricity as you can before they decide to increase the price of electricity. Determinants of supply. We have financial factors as well as real factors. Financial factors are factors that relate to specific businesses and don't influence businesses in the same market, such as capital contribution or owner's equity. Real factors are factors that influence all the businesses in the market, for example, the banking industry, climate change, price of production input, change in technology, inflation, and so forth. We're going to look at inflation. Inflation is also known as CPI, which stands for Consumer Price Index. The definition of inflation is sustained increase in prices. And as you know, the price of goods and services just keep increasing or rising. In Namibia, for example, we try to keep inflation, or the central bank tries to regulate or keep inflation within the brackets of 3 to 6%. Anything above the 6% then becomes worrisome to the central bank, and anything below the 3% is again also worrisome to the central bank. And if we see that inflation has stepped, whether it be below or above this specific bracket, then you'll see that the central bank then starts taking specific measures to control inflation. There are three disadvantages of high inflation. High inflation results in losses to people with fixed income, losses to taxpayers, and devaluation in currency. There are 5 macroeconomic objectives, but then in this case I'm only going to concentrate on 4. The first one is economic growth, price stability, balance of payments and equilibrium, and equitable distribution of income. Economic growth. Economic growth is also known as GDP, which stands for Gross Domestic Product. The aim is to raise the standard of living within a country. So each and every country in the world has what we call the GDP figure. GDP, there are 2 approaches to compute GDP. There's the expenditure approach and the income approach. With the expenditure approach, we say GDP is equal to consumption plus investments plus government spending plus net exports. While as income approach is GDP is equal to wages plus interest plus rent plus profits. Price stability. The Bank of Namibia also has specific rules and regulations in place to try and also control price stability within a country. When consumers' price index increases, the purchasing power of our income decreases. So meaning that when when inflation increases, it means that the purchasing power of a consumer's income then decreases. You'll read a bit more on price stability in your economics textbook. The balance of payments. All countries all over the world import and export on a daily basis. So meaning that what the central bank tries to do is that they try to control all the exports and imports an economy, because remember, on their balance sheet they have what we call net reserves. So then they're trying to control and try to make sure that the trade that is taking place between the different countries, and also within the and also trying to monitor the currencies which are coming into their net reserves. Exports are positive for an economy as they create employment and generate foreign currency. Equitable distribution. Income distribution tells us more about the rich and the poor in the country. So then what the central bank also tries to do is it tries to control the equitable distribution. And then number 5, we're looking at employment, which is the point that I left out initially, which is full employment. So employment is also, you can also look at employment as an indicator to growth. This concerns the measurement of employment. High employment indicates that an economy is growing, and high employment is positive because it means that the economy is generating an income or is generating profits, and people are employed and everybody is quite happy. Looking at exchange rate, an exchange rate is a rate of it's a price of one currency for another. For example, we have US dollar against rands, which we call the USD ZAR, which is at 9.25, meaning that $1 is equal to 9.25 rands. USD stands for United States dollar, and ZAR stands for South African rand, also known as ZAR. Other currencies all around the world also have their own what we call ISO codes. For example, the Japanese yen, it's termed JPY, Botswana pula is termed BWP, and Swedish krona, which is SEK. Exchange rate. A strong exchange rate will affect the country's competitive advantage. Question 4. Cement Limited, a Namibian cement company, exports cement to the United States. If the Namibian dollar is extremely strong at a rate of US dollar net 6.5, what effect will this have on exports? You see, when a good is exported to a foreign country, or it's exported, but however it's at that point in time the currency within that specific country is strong, then we have a little bit of a problem, because when it's exported out there, then what happens is that whoever it is that Cement Namibia is exporting to might start and think, you know what, let me just rather look around and let me see, because the USD Namibian dollar rate is currently a bit too strong for me. So, let me rather look at other substitutes. They'll start looking at other markets, and instead of importing cement, instead of those foreign countries importing cement from Namibia, they'd rather prefer to substitute. So they look at substitute goods instead of the Cement Limited Namibia Cement. So now we've reached the end of our session on economics. Economics is really a very exciting subject. It's also quite broad, but very interesting as well. So then we've come to the end now, and what I would just like to wish you is that I'd just like to wish you good luck with your studies, good luck for the exams, and always remember that when you study with understanding, because when you study with understanding, it's easier for you to answer in the examination, and also it's easier for you to apply the knowledge that you have acquired through these studies to the actual financial world. So good luck and all the best.